Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Thursday to get thirsty for some pro wrestling punditry. It is our very good friend, Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Pollo Del Mar. Paul, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, it's good to be back. We've got a lot to talk about. Crazy week ahead for a lot of people, and I just came out of the busiest wrestling weekend of my life, so let's talk.
Yeah, we got a lot to get into here. Hot Dynamite last night. Paul had a very busy weekend. We got the comment section open here. John, hi, Nick, and Paul from West Texas. Samantha's here from Ontario. We got Dino Garofalo here from Ontario. Well, wonder, Ontario? How do you say it?
Ontario.
Not Ontario.
No, I don't know where that's at.
All right, anyway, it doesn't matter. Join the comment section wherever you're at. And hey, if you're listening to us in audio form, and you're like, how do I be a part of the live recording 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, on all of Wrestling Inc. social channels, YouTube, Twitch, whatever you want to go to. Join us. Join the party. We are at the end of the show. We're going to dive in the mailbag. We're going to look at a potential return of Bayley to WWE. And, it is a day where we are going to have an interview. I did not intend on releasing this interview here today. I finished it up literally about an hour and a half ago. I have turned it around. We have posts being written. The video will be live here in less than half an hour over on our YouTube channel, and you're going to get the audio here today. It's with MLW COO MSL, and I don't know if you've heard the word on the street this week, Paul, but MLW filed an antitrust lawsuit against WWE. Did you hear about that?
Of course I heard about that. Very interesting, as people have noted, very interesting timing for WWE to announce a collaboration with Impact Wrestling by allowing Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Women's Champion Mickie James into the Royal Rumble. What better way to say, hey, we're not a monopoly. Hey, we're not a trust. We work with other companies.
Well, hey, look, that gets brought up. I asked him about that. I asked him about the suit in general. And did you see what Joey Janela had to say about MLW?
No, I have not seen that yet.
Joey went in a little hard, or more than a little hard. He said he was rooting for WWE. He accused MLW of underpaying its talent and having bad contracts and not allowing MLW talent to work with GCW. Some pretty stiff shots. You can go find the synopsis over on the website. But I asked MSL about that too, and those are the comments that are being written up right now. A fiery response from MLW COO back at the bad boy Joey Janela. And I think you're going to see these comments all over the place, and I anticipate a response from Joey Janela by tomorrow's show. This is going to be it's going to be a gunslinging. It's going to be gunslinging is what it's going to be here, Paul.
Oh shoot. Did Joey say those comments about MLW in an interview?
He said them on Twitter, responding to a tweet about the antitrust lawsuit. He talked about how he was.
Should I swoop in and get an interview with Joey Janela? Is this what's necessary?
Joey doesn't like to talk to the press a whole lot anymore, and that's partially my fault, and that's a story for another day. Very good friend. Love Joey. Try if you can. But I have
I'll ask. I mean, he's passed out, and by that I just mean from exhaustion in my hotel room before. So yeah, okay. I'll see. Let's see. Why not?
Well, I have a feeling Joey's not going to be able to wait. I think Joey's going to probably fire off a tweet here later today if I had to guess, but we'll see. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. But a very interesting interview with MSL here today that we just absolutely put on the fast track to getting out to you guys. The video will be out here in just a little bit. And again, the audio, if you're in podcast form listening to us, will be up here in just a moment. But you know what? Enough of that hype. Let's get to it. News you can use, news to leave a bruise. Last night was AEW Dynamite. We have a couple news items I wanted to get to out of the show. First of all, Lance Archer, he's back from injury. He was dealing with some neck issues, but he's back on AEW TV right now. Kind of hinted maybe he was going to go after Dan Lambert, but instead he went after Hangman Page, laying him out with his blackout slam onto a steel chair. Let's begin there. What did you think of the choice for Lance Archer to be the next one on the path for Hangman Page?
I mean, I think Archer's a fantastic opponent in terms of helping to build Hangman's credibility as a world champion. As a viewer of the show, I would have liked to have seen some form of build towards this kind of an angle, put Lance Archer into a series of matches where it built his credibility back up as well. He's been missing in action for a while. one of the things that came to mind when I watched this is that, okay, so Lance is going to get this program. He's not going to, he doesn't stand a chance against the AEW world champion at this juncture. This is going to be a, kind of like a speed bump for Hangman to go through as he continues to climb up in and reaffirm himself as the AEW world champion. It didn't feel like any build towards this. It does not feel like Archer has the kind of momentum one would want or expect going into a feud like this, a program like this. And so I was a little underwhelmed. I am very glad, however, to see Lance Archer back on TV.
Yeah, I love Lance. Like, that's not the issue here. Lance Archer,
not the issue.
Not the issue here. Lance, great guy, a wonderful performer. But it felt, I agree, felt a little flat to me.
Very.
Once again, Hangman Page is in a position where what he is doing doesn't feel like the most important thing in AEW by like a mile, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And, I put my glasses on because I wanted to be able to read some of our comments that are coming in here. It doesn't feel like the biggest thing. It does not feel like this is, Lance Archer should have gone against somebody else as a returning opponent and then built his credibility to go into that position with some heat, with some momentum built. We don't have either of those. And so as a result, Paige is going into a lukewarm feud.
And I guess it's not a guarantee that this is the direction, although it would seem pretty obvious this is the direction they're going. But, the whole thing was they were supposed to be like on wins and losses and stuff. And this guy, like you said, hasn't had a win or loss in some time here, but was able to immediately assert him back in that main event picture. And I get it, right? You want to use your monsters to build up your talents. They did it with Wardlow last night, help once again using him to heat up somebody for somebody else. I just feel like Lance, like you said, feels like a speed bump. I already kind of feel like I know the conclusion of this story here. It doesn't grab me. And I'm still, again, left in a situation of struggling to really kind of get into the Hangman Page title run right now. It just doesn't feel like his time, like I think it should feel,
It doesn't. And I'm going to draw a correlation that some people may dislike. It's exactly the way I felt about Big E as WWE World Champion. Yeah. Big E's challenges, Big E's matches, Big E's defenses of the WWE World title all felt like mid-card matches. They felt like mid-card competitors competing for the world title. And I don't think that any of it helped give Big E any credibility any more than I think that this is going to give Adam Page credibility. It's very plausible that this is at best that this could possibly serve as, do you remember back in the day when Roman Reigns had a series of WWE title runs really quickly, like a whole bunch of them, like 3 in a row, and it was in a very short period of time? They wanted to give him that former world champion type of moniker, but I don't think that he had established himself. And it isn't until now, numerous years later, as the head of the table with the Universal title, that he's really hit. And I would hope that that's exactly what happens with Adam Page, but it's, only time will tell.
Yeah, and I see I see Nicholas here, my plant friend, saying Hangman Page should feud with CM Punk after Punk beat Wardlow. Well, I wonder if this Lance Archer thing isn't going to be just a TV program because we got some time till Revolution. And I think there is something here with the CM Punk MJF stuff. Whoever comes out of that really should be asserted as the next number one contender because there really isn't anything else, I think, at least on the male side of things right now. There aren't two people that seem to be presented on that kind of level. And that to me feels like the number one contender feud at the moment. I thought that was an interesting observation.
Yes. And I think that it should be fairly obvious in my mind where this is going because, we've already established that unless something goes completely awry or that my brain isn't thinking properly, that the next feud for MJF is going to be Wardlow, which then will leave CM Punk.
With probably going after Hangman Page, right?
Yes.
And I would think, I mean, like, I'm getting the vibe that Punk is going to win in this program over MJF. Are you also getting that vibe or no?
Yes. And I think that the caveat here is that MJF is going to, that Wardlow is going to play some role in that, which will then set up for their program, which will then, free
I think
Punk.
I think Punk takes his title from Page. Like, I know I said that about Bryan Danielson too, but like, I don't know. You gotta make a really big pitch to a guy like CM Punk to get him off the couch after 7 years to back in the ring. So that I think offering him the title was maybe part of that agreement.
Give me a break. It was like written into the contract. That was what the contract started with. Yeah. We are going to put the AEW World Title on you. Period. We are going to pay you an astronomical amount of money. Period. And then if you hand select anybody you want to work with on our roster, they're yours.
Right.
I ultimately, it's a little bit surprising to me, but I'm going to be honest. When I watched last night's episode, the only person who came out of that, MJF aside, who felt like a person who should be the world champion in AEW, there was one person. One person walked out of that, and their name was Page too, but it's not Adam Page. It's like it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Their name is Adam, but it's not Page. It's Adam Cole Bebe. Adam Cole Bebe feels like the world champion, and I feel like they need to do that sooner rather than later.
I don't know, man.
Recycling people who've been WWE champions, I think they need to make somebody that WWE dropped the ball on.
I think they're going to let Cole stew where he's at right now. There's so much going on around Adam Cole right now. And yeah, there was the moment where Britt Baker got involved. Now she's with him.
I didn't like that.
Well, I also didn't particularly love it, but why did you
like it?
Yeah. Unnecessary, right?
I felt like the reason I didn't like it is Britt Baker is her own entity. Do not bring her into this. Yes, we know, we're fully aware and fully know. But Britt Baker, I mean, where does this leave Jamie Hayter? Where does this leave Rebel? Where does this leave, all of that? It's unnecessary to pull her into that.
Everybody's getting sucked into this black hole right now. Of like, there's so many, and now you got best friends involved with it, right? I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. I actually kind of dig it because I don't really know exactly what's going on, but it just
I don't think they do either.
That's fine. That's fine to me. Honestly, like I kind of like the vibe of they're all just in the open organically trying to figure out what is going on right now. But then you look over at Punk, right? And this seems very deliberate. That's a very different thing for me, what's going on with Punk. And I do think that Punk goes over MJF here. And I think there's a very good chance he might be the one to dethrone Hangman Page after this Lance Archer feud rolls on, maybe another opponent in between Lance and Punk. But if Punk does take this title from Adam, if he beats MJF and he takes the title from Hangman Page, don't you think you kind of risk a little bit, and maybe they feel it coming, but a little bit of resentment from the fans, from this guy coming in and just kind of rolling through everybody that kind of made this company and helped get this company to where it's at to this point?
I think that they've already run that risk. I think that, I think that for the hardcore AEW fans, that's going to be a problem, possibly. I think that the benefit of this is that Punk and Bryan have this not only WWE cachet, they have like an indie wrestling cachet that has always made them. And I think that will play well into that. I think Adam Cole has that same kind of cachet where people felt like he was woefully, brought out of the indies into NXT. We thought that he might be a big star there, and then they kind of crapped on him. So I think that there's going to be less pushback about any of those three. But I will say that I think, there are ways that we can circle back around and we can use those people to enhance what we have already had. I hope that they will continue to do that in terms of building them up. For example, Wardlow looked like $1 million last night, even though it was utterly predictable to me. And I think that upped his ante there for a while too.
And I think the fans are genuinely like getting behind Wardlow, and like the fact that he's not winning makes them kind of, angsty and yearning for Wardlow. I mean, I hope they get behind the guy, but right now their model is just big men help the little guys look big. And Wardlow has done that over and over and over again repeatedly in his time in AEW when he's been called upon. And same as Lance Archer and Brian Cage to a lesser degree. You know, but I hope it's a change of pace. Wardlow's got a lot of potential there, and obviously there's some eyes on him from the outside. WrestleVote started their day off yesterday talking about that.
I think that match, if you were to, first of all, I found that match painfully obvious. Like I found what was going to happen was painfully obvious to me, but I felt like it was a classic situation of looking great in defeat.
Yeah, no, 100%. And lastly, you're coming out of Dynamite before we get a couple news items and then the mailbag. Brody King back on AEW, making his AEW TV debut. He is now an official member of the House of Black. He helped Malachi Black run off the Varsity Blondes and Penta. And it should be noted there was also this other vignette that aired on Dynamite with Pac. I think, like, pretty much paving the way to be a third member of the House of Black. It seems like he's going to be the next one in line, yeah?
Well, first of all, I was very intrigued by Pac's vignette. I thought that was very, very intriguing. And it also certainly leaned much darker than Pac has leaned in AEW. I think that would be a phenomenal addition. One of the things that was most exciting to me about the debut of Brody King, number one, they allowed him to keep his name. Yes. Like they allowed him to remain as Brody. So for the listeners, I said a few weeks ago, I did not think under any circumstances he was going to get to come in with that name. I apologize. I was utterly wrong.
Yeah.
But the other thing that made me excited about it is that they gave them or are allowing them to use the name that they are using on the indies right now. So that's really fantastic. We love that.
I thought it all came across great. This was the highlight of the show for me. The fans were chanting. The fans were way into it. And Malachi Black, a guy that they haven't pushed into the main event picture yet, probably one of the few people that they've brought in that they've protected, kept away from that main event picture, but kept really interesting. When this stable does start to move into title contention and stuff, the fans are really going to be along for that ride. They've got something really special here with House of Black right now.
Malachi Black has done has been the perfect example of how to bring somebody in without allowing that person to necessarily walk all over pre-existing talent in a way that felt forced. It's a fantastic way to have continued to grow and evolve and change this character so that he is almost, by the time we're to the point we're at now, I don't even think of him as being the Aleister Black that we saw on WWE. It feels like he is a homegrown talent in many ways because they have created this variation of his character. And as opposed to replicating what we've already seen, they went down an entirely different path to give us something that feels fresh and special to AEW.
Yeah, and I see a bunch of people here, by the way, connecting people through wrestling. Pac's vignette was awesome. John Perillo here, loved the Pac promo. Yeah, a lot of people very excited about this. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's just cool. Like, I like when cool things happen in pro wrestling. Well, flip it over here to WWE real quickly here before we get to that MSL interview. And then, of course, we'll dive into the mailbag, talk some Bayley. But Fightful saying WWE's bringing the Elimination Chamber to Saudi Arabia for their February 19th show. Do you have any feelings one way or another about WWE taking this big? I think it's going to be the actual Elimination Chamber pay-per-view proper over to Saudi Arabia. They usually do this on the road to Mania, but now it'll happen over there.
Well, the one thing I will say about the Elimination Chamber is it's frequently been a source of surprise. I mean, I remember, in years past where people who have unexpectedly walked out of there as champion, which I thought to be very intriguing. It's a great way to add a shakeup, to the final weeks going into Mania or whatever. I continue to have an uneasy feeling about the kind of obvious money grab these events are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a huge money grab. It's like half of their revenue coming from the Saudi Arabia events. And of course, there's a whole litany of political issues that'll come around with it. So kind of a wash for me. Yeah, like, do I love the chamber? Totally. Do I think it'd be a lot of fun? Yeah, this year should be very interesting. I have no idea where the road to WrestleMania is going. But the backdrop of Saudi Arabia and the fact that, like, we know MBS is like a say in like creative and stuff because like wrestlers have said that in interviews, like, oh, I think MBS wanted us to change that. Very odd, man. Very weird.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, here, good news before we get to MSL and the mailbag talks of Bailey. Nia Jax posted a video clip of her and Charlotte Flair hanging out, having a good time. The caption says her and Charlotte really hate each other. I know Devon Dudley said something on his podcast about how these two don't get along. A lot of people think these two don't get along because they had a breakdown in the ring where they started hitting each other real hard. But no, Paul, these two are doing just fine. Charlotte and her good friend Nia Jax.
Well, yeah, that caught my attention as well. I will say this. I have been in dressing rooms, and I'm specifically speaking about during my drag career. I've been in a lot of dressing rooms with people I absolutely do not like at all, but I can film a short, funny video with them.
All right. Well, good observation. All right, Paul, we're going to dive in the mailbag now. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you to MSL. That interview, very compelling. I'll put it that way. And I've teased it a lot. In about 7 minutes, we're going to premiere it over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And, of course, if you're listening to us in audio form, you already heard it. So you know. Real quick, though, we got Kyrolus Zachary here saying, I'd love to see Bray join the House of Black. We were in a John Silver interview excerpt earlier today about how he said Bray's not going to be the leader of the Dark Order. But, you know, I don't know if he joins the I don't. He's too big of a player. I don't really want to see him in House of Black. If he came in, he should do his own thing, you know?
I agree. And it's funny because Bray has been gone just long enough that he is not at the forefront of people's thoughts right now. You know, I mean, and I would like to see Bray back. Obviously, I think he's very talented. I would love to see him come back in some kind of capacity where we get to see the creative genius that I think that he really is, you know, but I don't know that when that's happening or where.
Dino Garofalo here saying, by the way, is Mansoor going to win the chamber? I mean, 60-40. Maybe it's Mansoor's year to go. I mean, I bet he's in the chamber. I bet he is one of the superstars in the Elimination Chamber. I'll put my money on that.
For a title?
For a chance to go to WrestleMania or win a title. Yeah, I bet Mansoor is in the chamber match or one of them.
Are they doing the I mean, traditionally I think of the chamber as having usually been like a 6-way fight or whatever for the WWE title. Or
I mean, look, but we don't are they going to keep the belts on Roman and Brock? Are they going for a title versus title thing? Are they trying to figure out who's going to be in a triple threat or a fatal 4-way, or are we going to have separate title matches? There's a lot of twists and turns here right now, Paul.
I mean, I've worked with Mansoor. Wonderful person, wonderful person. This is nothing about his talent or whatever, but they haven't positioned him in a way outside of Saudi Arabia for him to unfortunately seem credible doing a lot.
But it's about how they position him in Saudi Arabia, and they'll be in Saudi Arabia, and they don't have to give him the title or send him off to WrestleMania, but to show him in that he's got to have a chance. Moving up the ranks, Paul. It's not just some guy they plucked off the streets. They gave him. He's a competitor now. He's a superstar now.
Sure.
All right. So my poll question today has nothing to do with Mansoor or the chamber, although maybe I guess it should have been. My question is about Bailey. So Bailey created some buzz today. She was responding to a WWE tweet about whether Kayla Braxton should declare for the Royal Rumble. She responded saying, if she does, then I am without a doubt making my return just to throw her out so fast she lands on Michael Cole's dumb face. Now, she had also done like an Instagram live video recently talking about how well her rehab is going. She said she'll be back soon, but didn't want to tell us when. But it feels like we could be having Bayley back in the mix here pretty quick. Yes.
Oh,
So,
sorry. I was like, yeah, I think that I'm not sure what her timeline for re-entering competition in WWE is going to be, but certainly the Rumble's still a couple weeks away. It's plausible. There's been a lot of things about this, specifically the the women's Rumble, that has just seemed so odd. Like they're announcing all of these big names that would usually be like surprise entrants, and then not announcing people who seem obvious entrants. It's very weird.
I think they feel a lack of buzz around the Rumble, and they needed to kind of jumpstart it quick. You know what I mean? Like pile up the names, let people know this is going to be a big show. Don't make them guess. Like at least that's how it comes across to me.
Man, I was like so excited too, because Lita sent me a text a few weeks ago and was like, I can't tell you all the details, but I need new ring gear. And I was like, yes, I was excited because I thought she was going to be a surprise entrant. Now she's on the freaking poster.
Did you help Lita get her gear made?
I designed gear for her, but we're having trouble getting it made. So I don't think she's going to be able to wear the design I made her.
Oh, well, that's pretty dope, Paul. I did not know that you did that.
It was, I drew it all up. I did the sketch. I was like, I proposed it to look a certain way. I mean, come on now. Who knows better about costuming than drag queens?
I'm not like surprised. I think it's cool. Like, I guess it's just like, I didn't know that you were doing that for wrestlers. I'm not surprised that you are great at designing outfits. That's like a given.
But the
right?
thing is, if I could sew, which I cannot by RuPaul's Drag Race, if I could sew, we would already have this done. Like I sketched it out. I designed it. I suggested, elements of it that would be very classically her without, it was a thing.
Yeah. Well, and Kyrola is here, saying if they can reveal her, if they can reveal her, what else is in store? So do they have bigger names, I guess, maybe in the wings if these are the people they're announcing,
I mean, who would be the bigger names from WWE history than Alita?
Yeah, or Trish Stratus, right?
Or Trish, you know what I mean? Like who? Because there is nobody. And they've already announced the biggest historic names in very recent history. I mean, we've got Mickey coming in as the Impact champion. I love Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Lita coming in. They've announced Michelle McCool.
Ronda Rousey connecting people through people says that would be huge. Obviously,
that would be huge. I wouldn't be interested in that, but it would be huge.
All right. Well, we got to put a button in all of this because I've lost track of time and my interview with MSL is about to debut. But to finish this up, who do you guys want to see Bayley feud with when she comes back to WWE TV? Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, or somebody else. Over 200 votes, 46.6 to Becky, 27.4 Liv, 18.8 to Bianca, and 7.2 for everybody else. If Bayley comes back to the fold, is there anybody else you want to see her feuding with or working with, Paul?
I put that I would like to see her feud with Liv. And the reason I said that is because, we've consistently seen Liv in this title picture. I don't think she's ready for that right now. She's gotten a little bit of a nudge forward, but working a great program, maybe trading some matches, victories with Bayley, I think would do her a world of good. And it would certainly get her over even further as a babyface. So that's why that was the reason behind choosing Liv.
I am 100% with you, Paul. I mean, you can't keep her in the main event picture right now, but you got to have her working with a main eventer and somebody that's going to help keeping her strong and her momentum going. And I am 100% with you. I hope if Bayley comes back, Liv eliminates her and they set up something to go heads up,
I think that'd be fantastic.
Be awesome. All right. Well, that's it for today, everybody. My interview with MSL debuts in just a moment. So if you want to click on over there or finish up here, whatever you want to do, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be joined by TK Trinidad to wrap up the week talking news. But Paul, you're going to be back on the show tomorrow too. We're going to be having your interview with Zicky Dice, talking all about Outlandish Paradise going down this weekend.
Zicky Dice's Outlandish Paradise coming to Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Zicky Dice for free on Saturday night. Listen to all the details here tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, come on back. Me, Paul, Zicky, TK. If you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, go to our iTunes page, 5-star ratings, comments. Always appreciated that. pushes us up the charts. And, of course, WrestlingInc.com is our home. Give them some love on the socials, and come back tomorrow night after SmackDown to watch the Wrestling Inc. podcast. We got more friends, more voices, more fun. Come on back for those shows, and subscribe to that show as well on your favorite podcast platform. Paul, anything else you want to put over here before we wrap up the show today?
Absolutely. If you are in the Central Valley area of California, please come on out and see the manager of champions, Poet Almar, and Money, Power, Respect. We're going to be down at Pro Wrestling Unplugged Friday night. That's tomorrow, the 14th. So come and check us out. And otherwise, just follow me on my socials, Twitter at the Glamazon PDM, twitch.tv/Poet Almar. I look forward to seeing all of you there, and I'll be back with y'all next week.
Wonderful. And I am at Nick_Houseman. That's all I've got to plug. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.